like to call to order this Tuesday, July 16th Town Council meeting to order. Before we start, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for the memory of Scott Aust, who was one of our employees here, passed away yesterday, and he would want for us to push forward with our meeting. We had considered not having it tonight, but he would have wanted us to continue on with the town's business. So if I could have a moment of silence, please. All right, we will start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. That'll be led by Councilman Clark, and then the invocation by Councilman East.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'd like to join us in prayer, please bow your head at this time. Heavenly Father, please guide each of us this evening as we conduct the business of our town. Please grant us wisdom as we do so. We thank you for your continued grace and mercy. Please guide us in all matters. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right. I'd like to welcome the guests that are here and online. Thank you for coming out. As I've said before, it shows that the community cares and they want to be involved, and I really appreciate seeing more faces here. Thank you. All right, no modifications to the public session. So first thing up tonight is the public comment. So I have 3 speaker slips. And so the first one I'll do Hazel Wines. If you'd like to come forward, just tell your name, your address, and then what you're speaking for, please. And you, please keep it to 3 minutes, please.
I love the giant countdown.
Right.
Exciting. My name is Hazel Wines. I live on Cardinal Drive in Dublin, but I do some work with our unhoused friends and neighbors, and that stretches all over the New River Valley, including the town of Pulaski. I'm here tonight because, for the same reason a lot of people have come here tonight and have been reaching out over the last, who knows how long. It's a perennial problem, not just here, but in all of the NRV. We have a lot of unhoused friends and neighbors who, the only difference between them and me and my husband and my children is 2 months of pay. These are not people who want to be where they're at or deserve to be where they're at any more than any of us would. There are neighbors who are really, really struggling, and when we recently heard about the clearing of an encampment that not only threw away the meager belongings that our friends and neighbors were lucky enough to have in the first place, but also instructed them when they said, what do we do, to go to another homeless encampment in another city. That was what spurred us to action right now, and why we've stepped away from some of the on-the-ground work we're doing to come here and speak with you guys. Because we just don't think that's an acceptable way to treat our friends and neighbors, and we don't think you guys do either. I watched the last town council meeting. There's a lot of goodwill in this room to do a good thing. I think part of the struggle is some of the people who are making those decisions now are not people who have ever even been close to living a life where you would be unhoused. And that's a blessing. But what we do have, and another blessing we're lucky to have in this community, is we have a lot of people who are doing that day-to-day work to support people who are at their lowest, who are trying their hardest and making it nowhere. You have so many human resources in this county, in this town, who would love to come and sit on a committee and help make decisions that change things for the long term instead of the short term clearing encampments and hoping for the best. Hope isn't going to get us where we need to go. Action is. And there are people in this room right now who are ready for that action. There are a lot of people who have been doing good work already with harm reduction and that kind of thing. And so what I would like to ask tonight is that we work to find a way to put a minimum of a 6-month moratorium on clearing encampments to give the town time to get that committee together, to get some people who are doing the work together to come up with better solutions. And in the meantime, we would love to see so that things are safe and clean, trash service, somewhere where our in-house friends can stay, where they can be clean, they can have somewhere to put their trash, where it will be collected. They can have somewhere to sit as a community and enjoy their meals because they are a community and they're only out there because we won't let them in here. If there's anything that I can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out, any of you ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Hazel. All right. So I've got two more. Eden Bowman. Do you want to go? Which one? Okay. Which one? Eden. This is Eden here. Okay.
Hi, my name is Eden Bowman, and I live on Cardinal Drive in Pulaski. I am a 15-year-old girl. I'm going into my sophomore year of high school, and today I would like to talk about our unhoused neighbors. Although I do recognize that sometimes the youth is often overlooked as uneducated, so I came prepared. Today I'm going to be reading an excerpt from the New York University website. The title is The 12 Biggest Myths About Homelessness in America. And although I can't cover it all, I urge you all to take a little bit of time to read from the article. Quote, blaming the homeless too is not uncommon. Bad choices, substance abuse, or preference for life on the street are all popular explanations. But the statistical realities of homelessness upend many common assumptions about its causes and how best to address it. 2/3 of all homeless are single adults, and the remaining third are made up of families and unaccompanied youths. End quote. You probably noticed by the title that the article talks about 12 myths. Some of these include, quote, the majority abuse drugs and alcohol, which was debunked by stating, quote, it is believed that only 20 to 40% of homelessness actually have a substance abuse issue. In fact, abuse is rarely the sole cause of homelessness, and more often a response to it because living on the streets puts persons in frequent contact with users and dealers, end quote. And another one was that they were, quote, dangerous and violent. This was debunked by the statement, quote, homeless persons are far more likely to be the victims of violence than the perpetrators. Of course, some homeless individuals may commit acts of violence beyond self-defense, but such acts rarely affect the non-homeless individuals that they encounter. To put it another way, any violence by homeless persons is either self-defense or due to the rare violent perpetrators who prey on other homeless people. Non-homeless need to understand this, end quote. And I will leave the rest for you to read if you would like to educate yourself, as I am running out of time. But this article, among others, shows that people mean no harm, and I do not need to be an adult to see that. With that, I will politely ask you to please think about the information I have provided for you today and how you can help these people, individuals that are in our community, to have an easier time getting out of this time of struggle. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eden. And next I have Ashley Bowman.
So I'm Ashley Bowman. I live on Cardinal Drive, and that is my way more eloquent daughter. So I didn't really prepare much, but I am a proud founding member of the Pulaski County Free Store, where we were told that we couldn't do that either. We are here to ask for a 6-month moratorium on destroying encampments, allow us and provide trash service to those areas, and allow the people that are providing great service and willing to help these people get out of this situation to do their great work. I would like to hope that this community is not as heartless as tearing people's things up and destroying them when they're at their lowest. Many times if they are in drug abuse, that the reason of that is mental health issues, and I would hope that this community is a loving community that would provide services for those mental health issues, provide drug services, and help them get out of that situation rather than tear their stuff up and tell them to go somewhere else. So I am with everybody in asking for that 6-month moratorium. Have us or provide a space where we can create a committee to see how we can help them. And we are the ones that are on the ground doing the work and willing to do the work, and allow us to help our unhoused neighbors and friends. It's just 1 or 2 paychecks for most people in this area, and nobody is below that. Anybody could lose their job tomorrow and be right there with them. So everybody else said it way better than I could, but please give us this opportunity and show some heart to your constituents and our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, that's the only ones that I have. So we'll move forward.
Can I make one comment, Mr.
You may.
Mayor?
Yeah.
So I certainly appreciate the comments, and I agree that there's certainly multiple ways to approach an issue, especially with the homeless folks with drug addiction, and we do have a lot of services in Pulaski. I will ask this question. What about the private rights of the property owners? That's really what we're talking about here. If you set up an encampment on personal property, we don't have any, it's trespassing. So we as a council don't have the ability to break the law or not enforce the law. If a property owner says, hey, there's folks trespassing, regardless of the situation, they're trespassing on my property, we are obligated as a community to enforce the trespassing laws. So I would ask the question, how would you propose that we address that, Mr. Mayor? No,
If you come back up, because if he's asked, you can, you can come back. Yeah, you're good.
Listen, I'll talk all day if you let me. We might need another countdown. So absolutely, we all understand private property rights. We are also, though, in a chamber that made a decision to not even allow homeless people to sleep in their vehicles within the town. So yes, private property, but we also know there is public property that could be used. And that may not be ideal, and I understand there are complaints about how it looks and whatever else. But man alive, I am less concerned with how something looks than what it is.
So I don't have any issue with I don't dispute the fact that it's a sad situation. But you can take the public portion of that, the public property. You're really addressing very same issues. These properties are owned by the taxpaying citizens of our community.
And many of our unhoused friends and neighbors have full-time jobs. They are working and they are taxpayers, sir. They just are addressless.
So I'll give you an example. Here's another example. And this was a personal experience. I was at the Speedway in Pulaski. It's been a few years ago. And anybody who's been to that knows that the parking there's actually perpendicular parking. So you have parking going in one direction and then you have parking behind it, which is a little bit crazy. But there was a young girl that was in the car beside me, perpendicular to my car. And she was approached out of that area from behind the Speedway. She was approached rather abruptly by a large male who was homeless, I assume. And he stuck his head in her car and was asking for money, is what I found out after the fact. She threw her car in reverse because she was fearful and slammed into the side of my car. What about her?
I have been asked for money and harassed and harmed by many, many people who had homes. So it sounds like that guy was a concern, but that doesn't speak to the systemic issues that we're here to
But I don't
address.
think you can ignore those types of issues.
No,
when you're
no one's
talking
asking
about
to.
the homeless situation. So I completely understand. There are
I'm
multiple
not sure you
approaches.
do, respectfully.
Well, and that's your opinion, and
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I'm truly not trying to be rude. I
No,
just,
I'm not trying to be rude either. I just think as a community, we have an obligation to protect our community. At the same time, you've addressed it. We have a lot of resources in Pulaski. People have to choose to accept those resources. Now, we can reach out to them. We can offer, tell them where to go, who to call. I think that's a wonderful idea. But if they choose not to accept that, we have an obligation to the citizens of our community to maintain a healthy,
They are the
safe
citizens of
community.
your community, sir.
Some
You may
are,
not like that, but it is true.
Some are, some aren't. I'm not saying, I'm just saying that we can't ignore the rights of private citizens.
Not asking to do that.
If you're saying to ignore or allow homeless encampments on private property, you are
Find a
asking
public
that we
land
do
for
that.
them.
So,
That's, like,
but
I'm saying there are
that's
options
my side of it. So
that
ju-
don't include throwing away the very meager belongings that they have that they probably got from one of us in the first place, because we are doing our level best. But when you guys are fighting against that work, nobody's getting better. Your situation is not better, ours is not better, and our unhoused friends and
you know,
neighbors are
for-
not doing better.
And I've seen some of the pictures of this homeless encampments. I've seen the needles that are strung everywhere.
Yeah.
What about our kids if they're out exploring in the woods? I mean,
And I'm
so
with
there's
you,
yet
and that's,
another
that's what
issue.
we're asking for, is a safe area where trash service is provided, sharps boxes are provided, and I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, but I will tell you right now, if y'all can provide some sort of cans or whatever, and you want me to carry myself over there and empty them once a week, I'll do that, I do not mind. Like, we are already doing this work, what we're hoping to work with you on is systemic change. We want to see this not be an issue in the future. We want to see this be a place where our kids stay when they graduate high school and where they raise their grandkids. We want this to be a place where everyone stays, but that does include those who are falling behind and need help.
I agree that we want this to be a place where everyone can stay and live a productive life. I think we may disagree on how we get there.
And that's
And-
why we
and
should
I-
put the people who know how to do this work, who have been doing this work, and I'm not saying me, I will do whatever is asked of me, but I got a lot of stuff to do also.
I understand.
But
And-
there are plenty of
but-
other
But I do think there are a lot of options and maybe it's a hybrid solution.
I think very
But
likely, this is
that
something,
solution can't, in my opinion, can't violate the personal rights of citizens.
yes, and we're
other
not
citizens.
asking for that at all.
Okay.
I'm not. Public
well-
land for taxpayers to use. I'm fairly certain it's addressed in that hanging on your wall about the standards that you all have and the mottos that you stand for when you take care of this place. That's all we're asking, is live up to what you say.
I disagree, but that's fine. I mean, good conversation. I appreciate everybody's input.
Holler at me anytime. We can talk.
I just happen
Man,
to
I'll do it all
disagree
day.
with that approach.
Have you ever been in danger of being unhoused?
Um,
Have you ever lived on the street?
I've not.
I think if you
that-
did,
that-
you would have a different perspective. And that's kind of what we're saying is,
I told
if you work in I've done a lot of work in special education, public school stuff. You hear in a lot of disability circles, nothing about us without us, meaning able-bodied people shouldn't be meeting and deciding what's best for people with disabilities. People with disabilities should drive that.
And that's-
It's not any different with being
I think from our
unhoused.
perspective, or from my perspective, it's not that we're meeting and deciding about people with disabilities.
No,
We are charged with doing what's in the best interest of this community.
yeah.
And with that, I'll leave it.
Yeah,
But
and
we
just,
can- we
just
can
to
have an
clarify,
offline
it wasn't really
conversation
about
about it.
disabilities, although many, many, many of our unhoused neighbors are disabled. Some of those needles are just as likely to be for insulin as they are for anything else.
And they could
These
also-
people are ill and struggling.
And they could, if we put them on public property, then they're in our public parks. Again, I go back to our kids, our children.
What about the homeless children?
We could do this back and forth all night. I'll be happy to talk to you offline.
Holler
But
at
I think we have a difference of opinion. I
think it's a
certainly
difference
agree
of
with
perspective.
with your perspective.
Because
Or
I see them as
certainly
my
understand your perspective.
neighbors.
I
They're
just
my
don't
neighbors.
agree
They're
with
not a bother. They're not a problem. They're my neighbors who are struggling.
the girl that wrecked her car would probably feel differently, so that,
Maybe,
it's all about perspective, right? So,
Uh,
I appreciate it.
There's a speaker card. I'm not sure if they will.
But he meant to respond to
Oh,
that's yes.
that I'm not sure.
Mr. Mayor, this is your meeting.
No.
There were 3 speakers, and they've spoke. We can, as Mr. E said, he would be more than happy to carry on a conversation in a more professional atmosphere instead of airing it out.
So, I would recommend you could send email, and then we can get, I mean, at least, that'll get a correspondence going, okay? All right. Thank you again, Hazel, for coming. Okay, moving on, we'll move to the consent agenda. Up for your consideration is July 2nd, 2024 Town Council meeting minutes. Think you've had time to look at them. If someone would make a motion that we accept those or not.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept town council meeting minutes for Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024.
Second.
Okay, and may I have a roll call for that, please?
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Sorry, Mr. East?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Potts?
Aye.
Mayor Collins?
Aye. All right, now, next on the agenda is the council comments. So, Mr. East, do you have anything?
I do not.
Mr. Clark?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Klontz?
Nothing this evening.
And then that's me. I know there were some things, but I can't remember anything right now. So I'm going to move on to the manager's report. Mr. Day?
Okay, just to let you know, the Croman the Valley Cruise-In is Saturday, July 20th in Jackson Park from 11 to 4. So if you can make it out, come on out, enjoy that. Also, I wanted to let council know, I sent out some correspondence earlier or later in last week, but when I haven't been here very long, maybe a month or so, and an opportunity from the federal government, which has been around for some time, for congressional directed spending came open again, and we had a short length of time when Shane Clem called me to apply. So I gave it to Olivia, and she was very successful. So we've got an estimated $1.7 million project at the fire station. I'm sure each of y'all are aware of that we're trying to address, and Olivia was able to land a grant for the locality. It totaled $500,000. So a great opportunity, great job. She took care of it, and I never had to look back. I gave it to her. She carried the ball. She made the contact she needed, and we were successful in that opportunity. So not sure yet. Those announcements won't. They've got to close at the federal level, so it'll be March, April before those announcements ever legitimately come out. But I think it was 6 or 7 localities in the Commonwealth that got recognized for funding, and we were one of those. So congratulations to Olivia. Thank you very much for your contribution to the locality. So we look forward to the changes at the fire station. That's all I've got, mate.
All righty. All right. Next is just a reminder of our future council meetings. It's August the 6th, 2024 work session. Starts at 6 p.m., open session at 7. Closed session will follow the open session. And as of right now, if I could get a motion to enter into closed session for one item under Virginia Code 2.2-3711A29, award of a public contract involving the expenditures of public funds, and that would be the Great Wilderness Brewery.
So moved.
Second.
And may I have a roll call for that, please?
Mr. East?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Potts?
Aye.
Mayor Collins?
Aye.